What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Morning Vibe. Welcome back from the hiatus. All right, we've been off for a minute. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's been like 2 weeks since I posted the Morning Vibe. And if you guys are not familiar, this is Dustin from Dusty Fish Co.
What's going on, guys?
If you guys know the story behind this picture back here, this is Dustin's like first professional photograph he's ever taken, right? Like, so is it cool to see it hanging on the wall?
It's a heck of a picture.
Yeah, it's we had to do a little bit of work to it when we got it back, but I think it turned out really good. And in all seriousness, if you guys have not watched the Fish of a Lifetime video over on the Cameraman Ron channel, Dustin actually came down to Tampa to help me out with that video. Huge shout out to Dustin from the start for coming down and helping me film that. I've told several people that that video would not have been what it was without you. And I sincerely mean that. Had we just had stationary cameras up, it turned out the PYT was going to go and then she couldn't go. And I was majorly stressed because we put a lot of work into that video and we needed somebody. I don't need a camera guy all the time. I caught some flack when I put that post out and I was looking for a camera guy. People were like, oh, you know, Mr. Big Shot needs a camera guy now. And I'm like, no, I don't need a camera guy all the time. But in this instance, we needed one.
For this video, you definitely needed someone to move around the boat and get the shots for this.
Yeah, and I think that showed in the video. If you guys haven't watched it, I mean, Dustin was running. We were all running. It was chaotic.
Running backwards around the boat.
Yes. You know, and lots of cool shots, though. And like I could have shot that whole day. You know, I really only needed a camera guy for 15 minutes, but that 15 minute or 25 minutes is what it took us to land the fish. But that 25 minutes was integral for that video. So, but what we're doing today, we're kind of, there's going to be spoilers here. If you've not watched the Fish of a Lifetime video over on the Cameraman Ron channel, I'll link it up right here. Go check it out first because
it's worth it.
We're getting ready to, we're going to do some spoilers. Okay. So if you haven't watched that, pause the video, jump over to the Cameraman Ron channel, check out the Fish of a Lifetime video. I promise you won't be disappointed. I can confidently say it is the best video I've ever produced and put out on the platform.
I'd agree.
Ever. It was absolutely amazing. But we're going to kind of recap that. We're going to go back and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that didn't make it in the final cut because there was lots of stuff. Dustin and I were swimming at one point.
That was awesome.
That wasn't it. There was so much I couldn't put in there just because, you know, the time, you don't want to make those videos too long. And I think the time was going to get away from me. So I tried to hit the highlights.
Well, we were on the boat, what, 10 hours, 11 hours, something like that?
Yeah. Maybe a full 11 because that first morning we took off right at 7 and I think it was 6 when you and I sat down to dinner that night. So we were basically on the boat and we went straight and we were ready to eat. Your boys was ready to go get some food by the time we got off the boat, which we did have lunch. We took a little break during slack tide and went and got lunch. So I'm gonna do this almost like interview style. You can ask me questions too if you want, but I'm gonna start off asking you what was your mindset when I asked you to come down and do this for starters?
First I was excited and then I was like, oh man, we're 8 hours away. And there's a lot of factors, you know, a trip like that. You got weather, I mean, there's a lot of factors when you're traveling that far to chase one fish. It's not like, hey, let's go to the Keys and go fishing and see what happens. It's we're going to point A and we're looking for this.
And what's crazy about that, and what I don't know, that this is the one thing that I don't know that it came across on camera. Some people thought I was just trying to add drama to the video, but you're not, because like Dustin has a fishing channel too. I've got all his stuff linked down in the description. If you guys have not checked him out yet, make sure you guys check him out. But fishing content is difficult in its own right when you're just trying to catch whatever. So like this morning I went out to make a bridge monster video. Well, I got to the bridge and they weren't biting. So I just swerved and I went somewhere else that I knew the fish were going to be. And I made a different video. I don't want to say because it's not out yet, but I made a different video. We did not have that luxury on this trip. And I think that's the part that really didn't come across on camera. There was no plan B. It was plan A or bust. Like we had to catch tarpon. I
mean, backup plan was last minute. Let's scramble and go to another coast and see what happens. I mean,
and we had talked about that. Like literally Thursday afternoon about midday, like I'm not lying. I'm on the phone with Brian and Darcy and I'm like, hey, like what are our options here? Because I needed a big video for my 50th species. And, you know, and I knew this whole video, and Dustin knows this, him and I've had conversations. This, you know, I'm going to talk about it in a later podcast about spontaneity and how that relates to creativity. A lot of what you guys see us do is spontaneous. Like, you know, we'll wake up and if the weather's not right, you know, Dustin does a ton of stuff over in Louisiana. He might hop in his truck and drive to Louisiana and fish that day. You guys have seen me jump in the truck and go to South Florida because it just wasn't right here. This video had been planned for months. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it for you guys. I'm not trying to like BS you. when I started doing the 50 species challenge on the year, this was the end game the whole time. Like from January on, this was the plan. This was not something I came up with last week. We knew that this is what we were going to target for the 50th species.
When did you think you were going to hit 50?
Well, I knew
at the start of the year. What was your?
I really felt like I could hit it in the summer.
Okay.
Which is why I didn't mind like setting that goal of having a tarpon, because basically we're still very early in the tarpon run down in Tampa. So we have like a probably all the way to September of a window of where we could catch them. So had we not gotten to, that point early enough, I would have just had to postpone. I will tell you, I've had that trip planned for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
But we did have a backup plan just in case. But there was nothing that was going to keep that fish from being my 50th species on the year. So
you ended up week of what, 9
day
short?
Day before.
Yeah.
The day before we left, I was 9 short. 9 short. I was 9 shy 50. Went out with Captain Ryan Reed out in Destin and just absolutely crushed the species. It was on an opening day of snapper season. Yeah. And we went out there to catch red snapper. And I said in that video, I was like, I can't remember. Oh, we pulled out, and the first spot we hit, we were just kind of jigging and just messing around, and I caught a scamp grouper.
Right.
And I was like, honest to goodness, going on that trip, and if you guys have watched that video, I didn't even mention it in the intro because it never even crossed my mind that we might hit 50 species. I had no intention of hitting 50 species. I really didn't even know that I was going to be able to make it to 49. But when I caught that scamp grouper, like it dawned on me, I'm like, I haven't been offshore yet this year.
There's a lot of
fish out here. So we're like rolling through it. And then like the next drop at the next spot, I catch a lizard and a squirrel fish on the same drop. And now we're at 3 and we're only 6 away. And I'm like, holy crap, we could do this today.
Yeah.
And we must be living right, because that day we caught 8 new species. I will tell you guys,
the stars did align on that.
I will tell in 100% spirit of honesty. When I caught that sand tile fish,
in the
video,
yeah.
no, not the sand tile fish was I was never going to count
right,
just because I said early on I was going to do hook and line, and the more I got to thinking about it, I got to feeling guilty because I was like, man, that just doesn't count. Like that would be no different than me going out and cast netting a fish. In all honesty, it was basically the same thing. So I'd already decided that I was going to not count the oceanic triggerfish. When I pulled up that sand tile fish and I realized we were at 49, I was like, let's go to the house.
Done.
I was like, I don't want to catch any more fish. I'm like, I don't want to take a chance on catching a 50th species, because at that point it was real. Like, I'm like, this is going to add so much drama to the next video, because the trip was planned. I mean, Dustin was leaving the next morning to head down to Tampa. I was leaving the next morning to head down to Tampa. So, I mean, the trip was planned. And I definitely did not want to hit 50 species offshore that day. That would have been bad. So, what were your thoughts that first night when the weather? Like, if you guys haven't watched the video, you're really missing out, because there really was some unplanned drama. A lot of times, we'll do stuff to add drama to videos. We didn't have to do that this time. Like, Mother Nature was taking care of that for us.
Man, I was so heading down to Tampa, driving down. Everything was great until I got literally to Tampa.
Mind you, Dustin decided to leave his, like me, I travel all the time. You travel a lot too. The first thing on my mind is I like plot out the big cities I'm going to go to, and I make sure I'm not going to hit them at rush hour.
Oh, I nailed it.
That was not on Dustin's mind that morning, because he rolled into Tampa at like 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I hit Tampa right on the button. Severe storms coming in off the Gulf. There's like 40-mile-an-hour crosswinds on the bay. I've got this tent from Amazon I just got in that I've never slept in. It was too small for me. I haven't camped in 12 years, 15 years. Yeah. I get to the campsite and it's just dumping
big time. I mean, guys, like you can't exaggerate how hard it was raining, and it was the first place I set my tent up was terrible. I was like a foot of water because I was just trying to put it by the power outlet so I could have a fan in there. But we ended up, luckily, it stopped raining like right before we laid down. And then what was crazy about it is so many people thought that I was like, they were calling BS, or like, oh, it wasn't even calling for rain Thursday. Oh, yes, it was. Like, that was not, none of this video was made up. It was 100%. I would tell you guys at this point, because you guys know I'm an entertainment channel through and through. Yeah. I would tell you, we did that drama. I've done it before, but that was not what was going on. Like, it started raining on Steven and I like 2 hours before dark that night. We didn't get to fish that night. other than getting the crabs, and it dumped all the way up until dark.
It was bad. It got bad for a little bit.
Yeah, and then and it was calling for bad all day Thursday and most of the day Friday, and I'm just like, I was sick because I mean Dustin had drove down just to help me with this video. We had so many plans put in place that weather pending, we were about to not even get a shot. Like we weren't even going to get a shot at it.
And I mean, then we hit the water that morning.
Yeah,
and
the skies opened up, and it was gorgeous. It was a beautiful day through and through.
It ended up being really nice.
Yeah, and it's funny because you guys heard me talk about swimming. I've never jumped off of a boat into the ocean ever. We were probably 7,500 yards off the beach. We were in 15, 20 foot of water, something like that. We didn't have the graph on at that time. I can honestly say I think that's what got me through the rest of the day.
Really? Yeah. That was the soul needed that one.
It did.
It was a tough morning.
It was hot. We had not been successful that morning.
Whooped.
And what was crazy was we had done all the right things. There was nothing, sometimes when you're out targeting a fish, you can pinpoint. You're like, man, I missed my shot and it was my fault. And honest to goodness, we were making great casts. All three of us were throwing at them. We did everything right that morning, and they would not eat.
We were tracking schools of tarpon. We were presenting bait different ways.
Yeah.
We had people up top, back, bottom. I mean, we had
we were calling experts in Tampa, like, hey, what are we doing wrong? We did
phone a friend.
We were literally phoning friends of Captain Chapman's down there. Everything that they were saying, we were doing. And it was just like, my hope was dwindling. And then it was hot. I was tired. And we were just kind of anchored up and we were kind of letting some bait soak. And I asked Steven, I was like, you got a ladder on this boat? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because I think I'm going to jump in the water. And he's like, go for it. And I told Dustin, I was like, I'm jumping in. He's like, well, if you're jumping in, I'm jumping in. So we got down to our shorts and we jumped in. And it really was like that. We only stayed in the water 5 minutes.
Oh, it's perfect though.
But it literally it rejuvenated me for the rest of the day.
Yeah. It was it made the day. It re-energized us.
Yeah.
Got us going, brought some energy back. It was a good time.
What did you think of Chap?
He's interesting. He's interesting. Yeah. He's a good guy, real good guy. He was dead set. He had to get you your fish. Yeah, he was zoned in on that day.
Well, it's funny because I said it in that video. Chapman's been so good to me ever since we've been doing content creation, man. He is a charter captain. Somebody was like, why'd you pay a charter captain to take you out if you can just go to the Skyway? Number one, I didn't pay Steven to take me out. Steven's a good friend of mine. He took us out because he wanted to be a part of that video. I mean, he knew how important it was to me. He wanted to be a part of it. I told Dustin, I was like, when we catch this fish, I said, I want to make sure that there's a picture of Steven and I, which is what we got. And Dusty can't stop looking at the fish. To stop looking at the picture. It turned out so good, dude. Yeah. Like that when I set out on this trip, that's what I wanted. That's the only thing I wanted. I didn't even care about the video. I just wanted that picture up there. Man, Chap's been so good to us. But huge shout out to him. But he is laser focused because
when we were sitting at lunch, there, having a drink, chilling, relaxing. He was. What are we doing this afternoon?
Yeah,
where are we going? I have to get it done.
Yeah, you could tell that he was. I mean, that's just the nature of. He knew how important this was to me. And that just goes to show him as a person. He took it just as serious as I did because he was, we got it because of him. I mean, let's not kid anybody. He was not going to give up. I think we would have fished till dark if we'd have had to have, and then we would have been, we didn't end up fishing on the following day. The last day we fished was the day we caught the tarpon because we were going to fish another day. But then once we caught the tarpon, I think all of us were, I think we were all spent.
I think we dumped everything we had: energy, heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, everything into that day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
I told Sarah when I finally got it done and I watched the video back because you guys have to understand this has been a vision of mine for months. This wasn't something. A lot of times the videos that you guys see me put out on the Camera and Ron channel. It's just a product of how the day went, right? So you go out and however the day goes, that kind of dictates what your video looks like at the end. Well, I had a vision of this video for months, and I told people about it. And every time I would tell somebody, I felt like they didn't get it. I know what I was saying, but I'm like I couldn't put into words exactly what I was doing. And I think once I put the video out, I think people that saw it was like, oh, this is what you were talking about.
You painted this picture. You painted this picture in your head.
Yeah,
and until it goes on paper, you're the only one that can see it.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. You're exactly right. But when I watched the video back for the first time, I tried to not watch any kind of playback until I got it completely done because I knew I was going to be emotional. I was emotional the day we caught the fish. If you haven't seen the video, I was literally in tears when I caught it.
The whole boat was.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so when I watched the video, there was one major thing that stuck out to me that like it was one part that wasn't planned for, but in my mind it was probably the most powerful for me part of the video. And I don't know how many people even picked up on it, but in the video, it's only 5 minutes. I only showed like 5 minutes of the fight. For us, it was a 25-minute fight from the time we hooked that fish until I pushed her head back down in the water. We had it timed. It was 25 minutes. For 23 minutes of that, it was sheer chaos.
Yeah.
You know, Dustin's barking orders in a good way. I don't mean this in a bad way. Like Dustin's barking orders. He's trying to tell me where this fish is going. Steven's watching. He's trying to control the boat. Everybody, it's communication all around. You know, I'm telling Dustin that I'm coming back. You know, and it wasn't anything hateful. It was communication. It was excited communication because we were trying to get our point across to everybody. But when Steven put his hands on that fish and grabbed it for like 5 seconds, it was silent.
Yeah.
Nobody said a word. It was just like, and then Steven turned around and looked at me and like, I lost it.
You're like, we're there.
Yeah.
We're there.
It was just, but for that 5 seconds, like that was so powerful in that video to have that 5 minutes of just sheer chaos.
Yeah.
And then when he got hands on her and he pulled her up, it was just silent.
Yeah.
There was nothing said. And then when he turned back and looked at me, then I realized then that it was over and we had done it. It was wild.
It made the day. It made everything, the travel, and it made the rain, the tent, my tiny tent. It made it all worth it.
Your encounter with the bear. We can talk. We can talk about that in the podcast.
There was the bear.
You can tell the bear story because I think I was asleep, so I didn't know obviously that the bear was that the bear was there. So
I'm sitting there. It was I think I woke up. I can't remember. It was 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we're on a campsite in an island, like at the mouth of Tampa Bay.
We're at Fort DeSoto State Park. Yeah,
you'd never. I never would have thought there'd be a bear there. And I started hearing this noise, and I mean, there was raccoons everywhere. They had taken over that campsite.
They had WrestleMania like 35 behind my tent that night.
But then there was a different sound, and it woke me up. I'm laying in that tent, laying still as I can be, trying to figure out what's going on. And then it hit me. The bear was wrong.
Apparently, my snoring scared Dustin.
Oh, man. I was about to get in the truck.
Dustin did have a little tent. Like, if y'all saw the video, like, I don't know what he was thinking, but, like, I had my one, it's called a 2-man tent, but it's my 1-man tent. It's just like a little triangle job from Academy, but it's perfect because I have room for a cot. I have room to get in there. I can stand up inside of it. Dustin was not standing up. Dustin couldn't crawl in his tent.
I had to fall into it and roll out of it.
Yeah, and rolling out on wet ground was not very fun.
I went back and looked at the Amazon description. It's rated for 2 to 4 people.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Amazon lies.
Oh yeah.
Amazon lied to you straight up. Some other stuff that happened that we did not put in the video. So as hard as we fished all day, when we got out there to where we actually caught our tarpon at, we saw one hookup before mine. Then I hooked up. And then after we landed my fish, it went nuts. Like every boat was just laying the smack down on tarpon.
Well, there was one guy that the boat next to us, he hooked up probably about a minute before you did. And then after we landed your fish, we talked about it. They were another 200-300 yards out in the Gulf still fighting.
No, that was the girl that hooked up right before me. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were just really finessing this fish, but we had already like shot our outros. We had shot everything we needed, and they were still out there fighting this fish. So either they really did hook a 700-pound tarpon. But what I want to get to is one of the things I like to do as a creator when I collaborate with other people. I always want to make sure that the people around me have fun too. I mean, that's always my goal. And I always try to be entertaining even with the people around me. So when we caught my tarpon, I was like, all right, let's get Dustin one.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we got to get Dustin a tarpon. My man was on the struggle bus.
It was magical. It was magical.
Y'all have to understand, like, we struggled all day. There's no knock on that. But at this point,
we got into a frenzy.
Nobody was struggling. Steven even hooked up on one. He ended up losing it, so I didn't put it in the video.
There was there was 50 boats out there doing what we were doing.
And the bottom scanner, like on Steven's boat, there must have been like 100 tarpon. Dustin could not get one to eat.
There were doubles and triple hookups on boats 20 feet away.
On all around us.
I'm dropping the same pass crab down on the same rig everyone else is hooking up with.
Everybody's doing the exact same thing, and everybody's getting eaten except Dustin.
My crabs were dying before they were getting eaten. Like they were done.
And I was like, this dude just gave up, sacrificed his time, his money to come down here. I was like, how are the fishing gods not rewarding? And then all of a sudden, like him and Steven are standing side by side on the back of the boat.
Yep.
Like I'm talking shoulder to shoulder, doing the exact same thing. And Steven's rod is like, zzz. I was like, oh man, are you kidding me? So
our baits were so close that the tarpon could have eaten both crabs.
of them. He could have gotten them both. But Dustin was on the fishing struggle bus that night, so we did not get Dustin hooked up. Maybe we'll just have to get back down there.
Let's do it.
You got a new boat?
Yeah, got a new boat.
Dustin just got a new Frontier.
Frontier,
right?
yeah, 21-foot Frontier.
How many times have you been out on it this week?
Actually, only once.
Really?
Yeah. So my dad came to town. We took it out, got all the break-in, the hour of idle, all that stuff out of the way. Did some running around, but I got a busy weekend coming up on it. So.
Yeah, I was. Man, like this coming weekend's like a holiday weekend for all of us here in the Gulf Coast because our red snapper season opens on Friday.
Yep.
So that's huge here, and I had a lot of questions about this, and I felt like I really like explained this well in the video. So we actually have 2 red snapper opening dates here in our area. Yep. You have the federal opening, which is basically for charter captains only. That's you can't, if you're just like somebody like Dustin or I, even if you can get out into federal waters, you still can't keep them. You have to have a federal permit, which they only give to licensed charter captains. So that's how we were able to keep the red snapper that we caught on June the 1st.
Yep.
On Friday, June the 16th, regular snapper season open. So we like the ones we catch in the bay, we can start keeping them as long as they're legal, of course. If you can get out, you can catch them in state waters. And you can still keep them. So that's where that confusion was, but that happens for us this coming Friday. What is your plan for Friday?
It's kind of in the wind because, well, pun intended, I guess, because the winds have shifted. And, Thursday afternoon and Friday, we're talking 25, 30 mile an hour winds.
So not very many people is going to be out in that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far out we're going to push it either. Kevin from Salty Bottom Outdoors, he's coming over from Louisiana to go out with me.
Good.
And we might just hit some bay spots. We might go for some bay snapper. And
I just wish I was fishing because I'm in Kentucky. I have to leave for Kentucky, tomorrow. When you guys are listening to this, it'll be tomorrow. We got one wedding, but this is our last wedding before our summer break. We do take a summer break every year, and I travel around with Athletics Baseball, and I do all of their guest MC work for them for the next 2 or 3 months. So we are coming into our last weddings. I'll still be traveling. If you're watching this and you're in Myrtle Beach, I'm about to be in Myrtle Beach for 3 straight weeks. So for all you guys up there on the East Coast that have been begging me to fish with you, now's your chance. Shoot me a message if you're a charter captain, whatever. Send that message out, and we'll try to work something out. I know, Bart, if you're watching, bro, I got you. I'm going to fish with Bart Phillips. Bart Phillips is an OG subscriber to the Cameraman Ron channel. This dude has driven down here to meet us for a yard sale. This dude's amazing. Like, he truly is. So the one person I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm going to fish with in Myrtle Beach is Bart Phillips. I'm going to fish with that dude because he's supported the channel for so long. It's just unreal. So,
what fishing have you done up there so far?
None.
You didn't do any freshwater or anything up there? Ponds or nothing? So when I went to Myrtle Beach for the baseball last year, last year I was doing sporadic for athletics. I didn't even take a fishing rod with me simply because we did the one in Panama City Beach, which we always do. And then they had like a road DJ that went with them pretty much everywhere. A couple of my friends run athletics, so they always let me have the Panama City Beach one, and to give him a break. But then he called in sick for a whole tournament, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't know exactly what happened. But basically, he was supposed to be in Myrtle Beach, and he wasn't going to show up. And I found out on Monday that we had to leave Wednesday night for Myrtle Beach. Oh, wow. So I just didn't. All I did was packed my stuff and took it. And plus, I had a wedding in between. So a lot of people didn't realize that. We drove to Myrtle Beach. I did opening ceremonies on Thursday. Yes. Yeah. So I did opening ceremonies on Thursday. We got in the car early Friday morning, drove to Kentucky, did the wedding on Saturday, drove overnight Saturday night, and got back in time to do closing ceremonies on Sunday in Myrtle Beach. So I just didn't have a lot of time to fish. The next day, we went out and dropped the GoPro off the Cherry Grove Pier, which is gone. It's not even there anymore. The big hurricane that hit South Florida that looped back around and it took that out. Yeah, so that pier's gone. So I don't know what I'm going to do up there. I really don't have a plan in place, but we're definitely going to I may get together with Ninja Tackle. I don't know if you know the guys. The guys from Ninja Tackle are there at the Outer Banks, so I may That would be cool.
Yeah, I may leave a Saturday morning and go up and fish with Matt and those guys. Huge supporters of the Cameraman Ron channel and this one. I mean, you know, it's all a group effort with them, but huge supporters of the channel. So definitely might try to get together with them and see if we can work something out. But yeah, I've not done a ton of fishing up in Myrtle Beach, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll chalk. I will tell you this.
I'm not driving up there to be your cameraman.
I got the PYT with me, man. You're good. I will tell you this. I do have big plans for number 60.
Yeah,
I do.
Okay.
I think we can realistically, like, people ask me, like, what's your adjusted goal? What's your weighted goal now? And I'm like, well, I don't really want to like put a bunch of pressure on it now because we've achieved what we achieved. Right. And, you know, and I said it at the end of that video. If you haven't watched the end, if you didn't watch the end of that video, you missed out. You missed the best part of the video if you didn't watch the ending.
It brings it all together.
It does. But, you know, I don't want to just bypass that like it didn't happen. So if we could hit 75, it'd be great. Yeah. I'm not going to push for it, really. I mean, I think if it happens, it's going to happen naturally. But I do think we can hit 60. Yeah. And I got a big video playing with Dar Sizzle for
75. For you'd either have to do a lot of traveling or start digging into freshwater.
But you know, you say that, but there's so many fish right here. I haven't caught a ladyfish. I haven't caught a whiting. Like
several shark species.
Yeah, like I haven't caught a bonnet head, haven't caught a black tip. Like I can rattle off 5 right now that I haven't even touched. That literally we could go out, like if we wanted to try to, we could go out and catch them this week. Like that was the crazy thing about it. Of the 50 species that we caught, I would venture to guess there was probably only 15 of them that I actually was targeting. Okay. Like I was out there like, okay, this is the fish I'm going after today.
Redfish, snook, tarpon.
Yeah. Pompano, obviously the snook. Like when I was down there with Dar Sizzle and Brian, my number one goal was to catch that snook. I mean, that was number one on the list for that. But we messed around and caught 7 new species that day. Right. We got into that one little honey hole and we caught like lane snapper, mutton snapper. It was absolutely insane. What's on the horizon for Dusty Fish Co. in the coming future?
I got a couple big trips planned. I'm not going to spoil them all here. Make sure you head over to the channel and the Facebook page to check them out. I'm going to keep everybody updated on there. I did just have a video post. It'll be the night before you're watching this, I guess. Yep. Posted about 5 minutes before I walked in here.
Yeah, so make sure you check that out. He's got a brand new video out that just posted last night, like less than 12 hours ago. So make sure you guys check that out. You guys are going to be seeing Dustin and I doing quite a bit of stuff together over the next few coming months. We got some plans in place to make some videos. I definitely want to do everything I can to help him out on his channel. He did me a huge favor by coming down to Tampa. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you at least enjoyed it down there. It was, I mean, for me, you know, when I titled that video, "The Fish of a Lifetime," it truly was. Yep. I mean, and you know, if you're not that familiar with fishing, basically they call it the Silver King for a reason. It's the king of the inshore fish. Now, when you get out into the pelagics, yes, a sailfish or a marlin or something like that's going to blow it out of the water. But as far as like in the United States, in our area or in the Southeast region, that's the king. Like if you're inshore fishing, that's the creme de la creme. And that's why we really wanted to go after that fish. And she's still hanging back there in all her glory. It's funny because every time I walk in here, I look at that picture for a minute. It's like it's pretty cool to have that memory and to have that. But I do want to address one thing. There was some comments about your monologues during the video, your lack of support, and then your flip flop to support. Okay. But I
think they misread my positivity at the beginning.
Oh, there was no positivity. I do want to let Dustin off the hook though. That was not his words. Those were my words. I was like, hey man, we got to add it because I felt like the video needed that because it was a serious video. And you guys know, if you guys have been watching over on the Cameraman Ron channel, I always add a definite humor element to my videos. And I was not in a position to do that day.
And really, it was, I mean, we were joking around, having fun, but it was an expression of the emotions that we were feeling that day. Yeah. In the long run, it was something that all of us were feeling because it had been a grind for so long.
Yeah. And you know, I told Dustin, I was like, hey, I want you to doubt me hardcore until we catch. I was like, then once we catch, I want you to completely flip flop. Now, what I did not do was that whole monologue with Captain Chapman about him being the greatest. Right. That was not me. That was all him. Like I was just sitting back there, like getting some camera stuff together.
Yeah, he took off with the mic on that one.
Yeah, Dustin was up there filming chat for me, and I was just like, I'm listening to him, and I'm trying not to laugh because that microphone was picking up everything, and I was dying back there when he was like, I mean, he's like, you know, maybe the best captain in the nation. He's like, that's not for me to decide. That's for you guys to decide. But hey, he put me on a tarpon and we landed it. So he really might be the best fishing captain in the nation, for sure. A lot of people don't realize Chapman actually played. I put a little bit of it in there, but I didn't really elaborate. Stephen actually played professional baseball. Like he played for the Brewers for 3 years, the Reds for a year. So he was actually a Major League Baseball player. So I never put that in the videos. I always kind of forget about it. And he's such a humble dude.
He really is.
It's hard to get him to even talk about it because
if you hadn't told me, I'd have had no clue.
Yeah, he's just a humble guy, man. He really is, and he's laser focused on the goal at hand. And you know, for him to always be there and like. And basically, he put me on my very first. I've caught my PB best snook with Chapman. I caught the tarpon with Chapman. I've been down a few times and made videos where we just kind of bounced around, and it always seems to work out with him. I was telling the story to Dustin when I was like the last time I was down there. It was actually the video where I ended up getting kicked out of the Walmart parking lot that night. We struggled all day. Like we were catching like dink, mangrove snapper, sheep's head. He's like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, it's fishing. I'm like, that's just the way it goes. And then he's like, we're going to go to one more dock before we go. And we cast under, and both of us hook upper slot reds.
Awesome.
And that's how we ended the video we ended the video with me getting kicked out of the Walmart parking lot, but that wasn't the plan. I was ending the video on the boat. And then I got kicked out of the Walmart parking lot.
What'd you get kicked out for?
Just sleeping there. Like
vagrant,
I guess. Like so that was before I had the truck topper camper. I was just in the Flex, but I always like when I travel, I just put a twin mattress in the back of the Flex, and I would just pull into Walmart parking lot and sleep. And literally like 1:30 in the morning, dude comes out. I'm like, what? And I'm like, he's a manager, and he's all masked up, and I'm like, he's like, you got to leave. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you can't be here. And I'm like, why? And he's like, we don't allow overnight sleeping in our parking lot. And I'm like, dude, I'm not. Which I mean, yeah, I get it. He's got a job to do, whatever. But I'm just like, man, I'm not bothering anybody. I'm just out here chilling. Yeah. So, but their rules are their rules, I suppose. So,
good old world.
Any takeaways from anything happened on the trip that you just was not expecting, besides me catching a fish?
Oh no, there was that. I honestly didn't know what to expect with any of it. You know. It was the first time we talked a bunch. It was the first time we'd ever really met in person. We've talked boat to boat, stuff like that. So that that was cool. I didn't know how that was going to go, what to expect with that.
You looked very, very nervous in the video. When I put the camera on you for the first time, you looked real nervous.
Oh yeah. So everybody I know that watched that video hit me up like, bro, we've never seen you shaking like that. And I was like, I was sitting there fixing my GoPro. Next thing you know, I'm like, I'm live, and I didn't know what to do. I was done.
Hey, when you're around CMR, there is always a chance you're about to be on camera. You better be camera ready all the time. Just ask PYT. She knows. So, but anyways, back to your story. I know it was. I mean, hopefully it was a good experience for you.
Oh no, it was a blast.
You know, I've tried to offer as much. Dustin's an up and coming channel. He's where we were 2 or 3 years ago, and doing a great job. And I've told you guys before, I'm all about collaboration, not competition. And anytime these younger guys come to me, not that Dustin's way younger than me age, but I'm just mean like channel age wise, I feel like I always try to go above and beyond and pass along knowledge to them. Because there were people there that did that for me. Like I'm not trying to like hoard knowledge. Right. So when Dustin reached out the first time and we were just having some general conversations, I've told you guys before, I base everything on your consistency. I don't care how many subscribers you have or how many views you get a video. I could care less. All I care about is you're consistent. And Dustin was consistently uploading. He was making great content. He was, doing everything right. So when he reached out the first time, absolutely, I jumped at the opportunity to work with you because it's, why not? You got a great channel going over there, and I mean it's only going to benefit everybody involved. So I'm looking forward to doing some big videos with you this coming year. So
I'm 45 subscribers away from 3,000 right now.
All right, there you go, guys. So, you should tell me we'll fix that on the Cameraman Ron channel. I don't know how much I can do for you here because we have a very small audience on the Morning Vibe, but when I do my next video, I can take care of you on the Cameraman Ron channel. We can get you over 3,000 subscribers. That won't be a problem. I tell people all the time. I don't know. Did you pick up very many subscribers from being in that video with me?
It was pretty consistent. Good. Every time I saw spikes in your views, I saw spikes in crossover traffic.
Good. So. And I've told you guys this before. We weren't able to get Dustin a video that day. Ideally, what I would have liked to have happened was went out there and smoked a tarpon at 8 a.m. and then turned around and started filming a video for Dustin's channel. That was we thought
we were doing it too. We came across that school first thing in the morning.
Like literally, we've been out there 10 minutes,
and we were like, all right, put the crabs on. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
Let's shoot the video.
That's what it felt like. And that was my goal. In the back of my mind, I was like, okay, we're going to catch tarpon. I'm going to make this video. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to do something else. We're going to try to get a video for Dustin's channel. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that just because it took so long that day.
And we were too tired to run back out and do it the next day.
Oh,
we were
for sure.
Fish, fun fish the next day.
Yeah, we had talked about it all day. Like, hey, we'll go target some snook. And the snooks are running down there.
Yeah.
Like they're catching. Steven caught a 38-incher the other day. He sent me a picture of just randomly. But that day took so much out of us from a fishing standpoint, from a creative standpoint. I don't think people fully. This is the greatest job in the world. Let me be 100% honest and clear when I say this is not me whining. This is the greatest job in the world.
Yeah.
But when you spend 11 hours trying to target one fish, and you have to understand every time that camera turns on, you've got to treat it like it's the first time it turned on that morning. Because if you don't, the audience will pick up on that, and that's exhausting.
Yeah.
It really is. It's exhausting to be on for 11 hours, which is what you have to do. It's not like anything else where if you're just out there fishing, like you don't have to say anything. When you finally catch your fish, you get excited, whatever. Every time that camera turns on, you have to be on. Yeah. And it's just exhausting. So I think we were tired of fishing. I think we were tired from a creative standpoint. And I think we were just tired all the way around.
And people, even watching that video with all the work you put into it, a lot of people won't see that. They won't recognize it. You don't realize 10, 12, 13, 14 with editing, traveling, everything.
Yeah.
20, 25, 30 hours goes into 20 minutes.
Well, and honestly for me, Sarah and I figured it up. We were right at, with travel and everything, we were right at 40 hours.
40 hours into 21 minutes?
Because a lot of people don't realize just the work it took to make the opening minute of that video. Like if you go back and watch that, but this is the little details that sets videos apart.
Yeah.
That whole opening sequence was not shot in the same spot.
Right.
Like we started off, I was in front of the Mako. We were down at Galvez Boat Ramp, which is all the way down at Perdido Key. We shot a piece on the beach. I didn't like the way it looked, so I didn't put it in there. And then we ended up going to a little farm or a little dock on a pond. I don't want to say where that's at because it is private and I'm not sure we were supposed to be there, but we probably logged 4 hours just shooting that opening minute, the intro for the video. And that's not counting the time that, it took to do the voiceover work and finding the music. And it was just crazy. But I think to put a cap on it, I think the one thing I struggled with and I didn't have a grasp on, like that whole video I talked to you about, like Dustin had a long conversation the night before we actually fished. He didn't go out and catch crabs with us because he was still incoming, because he waited till, he wanted to drive through Tampa in rush hour in a thunderstorm, which is cool. I mean, you do you, boo. I mean, that's you got to do what you got to do. But
shooting for the stars.
But we were sitting there and we were kind of talking about it that night. And the only thing I really didn't know is where I wanted to shoot that closing monologue.
Right.
And I didn't know until, golly, 2 days before the video posted.
Yeah.
And it hit me. I was like, I was setting this up. Like I was trying to figure out how I could do this to make it look different. I didn't want that necessarily there because we were going to show that in the closing monologue. And I'm like, it just hit me. I'm like, there's only one place to shoot this. I'm like, I have to shoot this at Mahogany Mill Boat Ramp.
Yeah.
I've started and closed countless of the nearly 350 videos I have on the platform. I guarantee you 150 to 200 of them were either started or ended right there.
Oh, 80% of mine are there. It's such a good spot.
And that's why I was like, but I think that was powerful. Yeah. I think when it flipped back and I was sitting, because everybody I've talked to, because a lot of my core audience, which is who that video was made for, they were emotional. They could sense the emotion in my voice and in my actions. That wasn't fake. I was emotional.
People felt it and they left that in the comments. They said they felt that.
Yes. And when it rolled back to me sitting on that dock, there were so many people that messaged me or commented or sent me emails, and they were like, I was good till you rolled back and you were sitting on that dock. And they're like, when you said, I hope this looks familiar to all of you, they're like, I lost
Done.
And I'm like, so that was the perfect place for us to finish that video out. I think
if you haven't seen that ending, go back.
Yeah.
Watch the ending. It's worth it.
Well, it was funny because I had somebody call me the other day and they're like, man, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I watched your video the other day, and I don't want to mention names, but he works at a local tackle shop. And he was like, he said, I watched your video the other day. He said, when you caught the tarpon, he's like, when it went to the closing monologue, he's like, I turned it off. He's like, I thought it was over. And He's like, then I got back to work, and he's like, somebody's like, man, did you see Ron's video? And I was like, yeah, I watched it. And he's like, what about that ending? And it's like, yeah, it was cool that he caught the tarpon. And they're like, no, not the tarpon. They're like the ending of the video. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, so I went back and watched, and he's like, and oh my gosh. He's like, I missed the best part of the video. The catching of the fish was not the best part of that video.
It was the basis, but there was definitely the power came at the end. Yeah. The emotion, the setup for the rest of the year, everything.
Yeah. If you, it's you know, and it's cool. You just got to watch it. And maybe we'll
I'm gonna go watch it again when I get home.
Well, I've had so many. I guess that's probably the one thing that I've gotten more feedback on than anything. Like I've had multiple people message, email, whatever, however people contact me, and they're like, I've watched the video all the way through, but I went back and watched the ending like 10 times.
Yeah.
And it's like that, you've done something well. And I'm not bragging on myself because I'm really not. But I will tell you, of everything I've ever put out, I've never been more proud of anything than this production. Like 100%, this is not me like bragging. This is just something that I'm extremely, extremely proud of. And it's just because when you put that much thought process into something and you see it come to life, like you said, a painting that you finally finish and you're able to show the world, that's when it really means something to you.
I was going down I-10. I was I-10 westbound watching the video when it went live in the premiere on YouTube.
Yeah.
Propped it up on the center of my truck. I had the new boat in tow.
Yeah.
And I'm cruising down 10, watching this thing, watching y'all go live with it and everything. Yeah. I was like, I can't wait to get home to see it. I had to see it right then.
It was fun. And, it was cool. We had a lot of big names jump in the live feed there. Darcizzle was there. Daniel was in there. And that's cool. When you can, I work with a lot of smaller creators, and I'm very, very blessed to work with some of the bigger creators. And when you see them jump in and offer support and them to recognize that you're doing something, big in your journey.
And they were genuinely excited for you, too. There was genuine excitement there. You could see it and feel it in what they were saying towards you, towards your fans, everybody.
Yeah. And that's the goal. Like, that's all I wanted. I wanted like people to feel what we were feeling, and I think we just did a better job of that day than we've ever done before.
Yeah.
I know for my channel anyways. I mean, no doubt. So
a few people have said it was very, the whole video was very, Discovery Channel or very National Geographic. There was, it had that feel, it had that vibe to it, it had that energy.
And I think the reason people say that is YouTube is a funny beast because it's very, very difficult to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, especially to a fishing video.
Right.
People don't understand just how difficult that is. It's hard to have a climax of a video in the center or to have drama because sometimes there's just not any. I mean, you can try as much as you want to create drama, but sometimes it's just not there.
Sometimes you go out and catch 3 trout and 2 mangroves and,
and
that's it.
It's a good video. Yeah. I mean, there you go back, you cook it up, everything's good, but there's really no beginning, middle, and the end of that. And I think the reason so many people recognize that as, oh, this should be on TV or they should put this on Discovery or
it had the full package.
It had everything to it.
Right.
We started off talking about the journey, getting to where we are today, and that was important to me because one of the coolest things about what I've done, and you can chime in and speak for your channel. One of the coolest things I've done is I've always touted myself as not being a very good fisherman, but I'm learning as I go. And the cool thing about it is I've been able to bring my audience along on that journey. Like they've me
grown with you.
Yeah, they've seen me catch terrible fish and be excited about it because it was a fish. And they've seen me go out all day and catch 1 redfish, but I still posted the video because I wanted to put out there that, look, I struggle too. This is not some like production where everything goes our way every time. I had a video 3 months ago, and I got more of a positive response from that video than I'd ever gotten from anything else.
Which one was that?
I went out to 3 Mile Bridge. I religiously set my camera equipment up first, and then put my rods in the water. It's just that's nature for me. I didn't that day.
Okay,
put my rod out. Literally, the second it hit the water, I'm like got my GoPro in hand, trying to mount everything. Rod lays down.
Oh, man.
So I've literally got my GoPro in one hand and I've got my rod in the other, trying to catch this giant black drum. Well, I land it. In the middle of landing it, I'm trying to put my GoPro on the crossbar where I keep it. And it's just, the whole video is just freaking, it's a freaking mess. And I was going to like try to doctor it up and make it pretty. And then I was like, you know what?
Sometimes the chaos.
I'm just going to let it roll. And people responded to that so well, knowing that it doesn't go picture perfect every time. Sometimes you're just not ready.
And I've struggled with that a lot as far as like, stuff like that'll happen or not. You plan out this whole day and then it doesn't go to plan. And I try to edit that out or cut around it. And I've had people tell me you're over editing.
Yeah.
You're editing you're editing the heart of your video out whenever that fun, that moment, that chaos was what the day was about.
Yep. So, and you know, and I'm figuring that out more and more all the time. And again, the audience tells you. If you ever listen to Daniel Arms speak, I know you don't know Daniel as well as I do, but Daniel's become a very, very close friend of mine. And he told me one time, he's like, my audience responds more to the goats knocking over the camera than anything else I do. He's like, used to, I would edit that out. If the goat came up and knocked over, he's like, oh, you stupid goat. And he'd go over there and he'd set it back up and he would edit it out. But then he left it in there a time or two, and that the audience loved it. They're like, oh my gosh, that was so cute. But that's why they responded so well to that. People don't want Hollywood, right? They want like real. And you know, was the Catch of a Lifetime video Hollywood? Maybe a little. Yeah. I mean, but that was a big video. Made it great. Yeah, but that I don't do that all the time. So it was special. I knew that video was made for me and my core audience. Now
it would be hard to do that on every video.
Oh my
gosh. That in depth on every video.
There's no way you'd be able to post more than once a week.
Yeah, you'd have to have helpers. Assist like
you'd have to have a camera guy all the time. You know, because again, I'm not saying this just because Dustin's sitting here. You can ask anybody I've talked to about this. The video would not have been what it was without Dustin being there. It would not have been. You know, there's been people, oh, anybody can hold a camera. That's not true. To have somebody there, you're right. Anybody can hold a camera. What you brought to the table with that, because you are a content creator and you are an outdoor content creator, you were able to anticipate everything that was going to happen, as any of us could do, because we know fishing. Like, we know what it takes to shoot a fishing YouTube video. So I could have brought in anybody that, you know, could have held the camera, and that would have been fine. But what Dustin brought to the table was he was anticipating what I was doing before I was doing it, because he was reading what the fish was doing. So he was kind of already like, there was only a couple times in that whole fight where I was like, all right, Dustin, I'm coming. And he wasn't ready for it. I mean, I put one of them in there because that was like one of the most chaotic moments, because I thought I lost the fish.
He changed direction quick, though. He started running at the boat, and then he jetted.
Yeah, the only time I was scared 2 times in that whole video. One time was when he ran, or she, whatever it was, ran me to the front of the boat. And then as I took that step up, it turned and went back to the back. I thought I lost the fish right there. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get back to the back of the boat and get this line around the motor.
Because he was running to that motor every time.
Every time. Which was, and maybe this is normal. I don't know. But of all the tarpon videos that I've watched, that fish acted differently than anyone I've ever seen. Most of the time, that only happens when they get really tired at the end. That fish was running at the boat 3 minutes into the fight and never stopped. Like, she would make a run out, and then she would run right back. And I don't know if maybe...
And it was weird because most of the runs back toward the boat were also against the current.
Yes. So. And the only thing I could think of, and again, guys, I do not have this vast fishing knowledge, but the only thing I could take away from that was... The one time I noticed her make a distinct different run was when she was trying to get back to the school of tarpons. Like, there was one time that the fish, she was like right by the boat, and we see a pod of tarpons just blow up like 50 yards off. And when that happened, she zipped line out, and she was hit. So I don't know if maybe every time she was making those runs, it wasn't about getting back to the boat. She was trying to get back to a school of tarpon, which could have been what was going on. But it just, and maybe it's not. Maybe that's how they fight every time. But it just felt like she just kept coming back to the boat. Like, she knew if she could get me on that boat once, she was going to get free. I will take this time to officially announce my retirement from tarpon fishing. I was telling Dustin when he first got here, I'm like, I'm not targeting them anymore. I'm like, I'm batting 1,000 right now.
Perfect record.
Somebody went on there and they're like, hey, like, you know, you only catch 10% of the tarpon you hook. I'm like, well, your boy's batting 1,000. 100% of the times that I've hooked one, I've landed it. Not ever targeting tarpon ever again. That's not true. I'd go after them next week if I could.
You know you're going to hook the ones in the back of Chico now.
Well, those are so easy though. Like, if you hook one in the back of Chico, like, you can catch them. They're small, like fun-sized tarpons, what we call them. So, well, we're getting close to an hour, so we're going to wrap it up. Anything you want to add before we wrap up here?
I had a blast. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on here as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I look forward to doing some stuff with you this summer. I think we're going to have a really good summer fishing here in our area.
We got to hit Louisiana. We're going to hit Louisiana.
Yes. I am headed over to Louisiana to fish with them. We had plans to do that. I can't remember exactly what happened to that. I ended up having something come up.
Something in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. Because Sarah ended up having to go. Yeah, man, it's just my schedule gets so. If it wasn't for the PYT, like, I wouldn't know what way was up. I really wouldn't. So God bless her heart. So yeah, got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Going to be fishing over in Louisiana. Dustin lives right here close, so we'll be doing some stuff here.
taking the new boat out.
Yeah, I'm excited to go out, which I can promise you guys this. The first time I go out on Dustin's new boat, we are fishing for Dustin's channel, not mine. So I will definitely let you guys know. But whenever we go out on Dustin's boat for the first time, we are making a killer video for Dustin's channel because I owe him one.
Appreciate that.
I owe you a good video right now because we whatever we need to do to make that happen, we're going to make it happen because I definitely owe Dusty Fish Co. A great killer video. Now, I don't know if we're going to go catch an 80-pound, 700-pound tarpon with the best captain in all of the nation, but we're going to try to do something fun.
I'll be happy if we just go chase bull reds.
Hey, I'm game for that. I can take you out a 3 Mile Bridge, put you on a bull red every day.
Let's do it.
Guys, that's all I got for you. I truly hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give it a great big thumbs up. Again, I got all of Dustin's information linked down in the description box below.
Come check me out.
Yeah, make sure you guys go over, check out Dusty Fish Co. Puts out great content. Guys, that's all I got for you. Make sure you find a way to make somebody smile today. You never know. It just might change the world. We can't wait to see y'all on the next one. Y'all take care, and we will see you soon.